Welcome to Question It, the podcast where we rethink health, wellness, and personal growth. I'm Kevin, your host, chief inquisitor, and sometimes guinea pig, exploring fresh paths to a better life. Let's dive into today's episode and get started. In today's episode, I'd like to revisit and dive deeper into a topic I've talked about for many years now. First, I feel I need to provide a trigger warning. This episode discusses emotional health and behaviors that can harm connection, including sensitive topics like shame, rejection, and even suicide. Please listen with care and feel free to pause or skip if needed. Now let's dig in. At this point, many of you have heard of the acronym ACE. That's ACE. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. In short, these are the big T traumas that too many of us have experienced in our lives. They include experiences like being raised with an alcoholic parent, a parent addicted to drugs, a family of divorce, having a parent who has been or is incarcerated, being physically, sexually, or verbally abused, or other similar very traumatic events. However, I think it's critically important to understand and realize that while too many people have experienced and been subjected to big T trauma in their life, I believe nearly every single person on the planet has experienced little t trauma or tiny traumas that have been relentless, gone on far too long, and have simply become the normal operating environment for most kids and even adults. Each tiny trauma may be smaller or less extreme in nature, but they have a cumulative effect and can cause just as much pain and damage to a person's emotional health as any physical trauma. The point is, tiny traumas build up over time, and that pain must be dealt with or managed in some way, most often through our destructive or extremely constructive behaviors. The original article was titled 4 Common Ways We Destroy Connection and Damage Emotional Health, and it goes like this. It's the seemingly little things we often don't realize how profoundly they impact us over time, especially when they occur regularly. We may think we're just poking fun or helping people develop a thicker skin, but in reality, we're damaging their emotional health. Emotional health is easily the most neglected aspect of any health and wellness effort. Yet, emotional health could very well be responsible for the greatest impact. Furthermore, it is our state of emotional health, that is, our ability to give and receive love, connection, and belonging, that drives our behavior, because when it is compromised, it is deeply painful. A human will do nearly anything to avoid pain, including suicide, and in the absence of nurturing one's emotional health in the way we need it, we turn to behaviors in an attempt to compensate. The more extreme the behavior, the more emotional pain a person is probably experiencing. Let's discuss 4 critical ways or give examples of how we're destroying each other's emotional health, probably without even realizing it. Note, this often occurs before the age of 6. Number 1, shame. A child might say, "I made pancakes for breakfast," and the parent responds, "Pancakes are fine if you want to get fat." Or an employee might say, "I have an idea for the new project," and the boss responds, "If it's as bad as your other ideas, I'm going to tell everyone it was yours." Number 2, judgment. A child might say, "I made pancakes for breakfast," and the parent responds, "I don't eat unhealthy foods like pancakes." Or an employee might say, "I have an idea for the new project," and the boss responds, "There's really nothing good about your idea." 3, neglect or emotional neglect. A child might say, "I made pancakes for breakfast," and the parent responds, "Uh-huh," while they continue looking at their phone. An employee might say, "I have an idea for the new project," and the boss responds, "Tell me next week," and then that boss is never available. And 4, rejection. A child might say, "Will you have pancakes for breakfast with me?" And the parent responds, "No, I need to go to work." Or the employee might say, "I have an idea for the new project." And the boss says, "I'm not interested in your ideas." These four actions may be the most common ways we hurt someone's feelings and damage their emotional health. They're especially harmful when they come from people who matter to us, like a parent, a teacher, a coach, or a boss. It doesn't take many instances, and a person will stop trying to share or connect because the emotional pain hurts too much. Before long, the two disconnect and the relationship suffers. Further, a person will likely attempt to manage their pain through other, often destructive, behaviors such as unhealthy food, alcohol, depression, anxiety, or other. It's important to remember that hurt people will hurt people, including themselves. So anyone who is shaming, judging, neglecting, or rejecting others likely experienced the same behaviors toward them in their past, and probably during early childhood. When it comes to fear, it is the pain of shame, judgment, neglect, or rejection that we have been conditioned to fear the most. The key is to engage with empathy, support, and encouragement, which can be more constructive and nurture one's emotional health. Too often, we hurt the ones we love, but we also can be more supportive toward the people we know and care for the most. By learning about and understanding each other's behavior, we are far more likely to appreciate each other's perspective and value them. This, in turn, increases the connection and strengthens the relationship. Now, instead of a downward spiral of destruction, we've reversed course and created an upward spiral that's constructive. Almost miraculously, the destructive compensatory behaviors decrease and are replaced with more constructive behaviors since our emotional pain is reduced. Okay, so what did you think? In the 5 years that I originally explored this topic of little t traumas or tiny traumas, I've slightly updated my list of 4. Now where I land on tiny traumas is shame, judgment, degradation, and emotional neglect. So degradation is basically insulting or purposely trying to put down or harm someone, and that can be like those verbal attacks, but not the big verbal attacks like yelling and screaming that might be considered an ace. It's the smaller little attacks that are just relentless and go on forever, like telling a child, you're not worth anything or you're never going to amount to anything, things like that. And these kind of comments just in passing really hurt someone. And while kindness and empathy are really wonderful behaviors to try and incorporate into day-to-day life, I think it's going to be really difficult to show someone kindness or be empathetic towards someone else when you've never really experienced that toward yourself. So you basically need to learn what it feels like to receive kindness and empathy before you can give it to others and even give it to yourself. Something else that I've learned about in the last few years is how we can really acknowledge and validate a person when we're in conversation, whether it's live conversation or even in emails or text messages or on social media. By acknowledging what another person is saying, we are sending the message that you matter, you have value, you are worth listening to, because I'm acknowledging, I'm engaged in the conversation, again, whether it's verbal or written, I'm engaging with you because you matter to me, you have value to me, and that shows the person that they are loved. And again, this is not romantic love, this is just regular love from person to person. And when we validate someone, it's not about agreeing or disagreeing with whatever they say. Validation is really about acknowledging and giving attention to and honoring a person's feelings or emotion. So whatever feeling or emotion a person is trying to express to you, if you can validate that emotion, basically saying, wow, that must have felt really good to receive those compliments, or wow, it must have really hurt when your teacher told you that you weren't doing well. those kind of validating statements are not about the topic at hand, but really you're highlighting the feeling or emotion. And I'll do more episodes or videos on acknowledgement and validation to dig into it deeper. I can even run an entire course or a workshop, because when you start acknowledging and validating people, that right there is an incredible way of nurturing another person's emotional health. Because once again, it sends the message that you matter to me, you have value. And in our brain, how valuable we feel translates to how loved we feel. And love is that basic human need that we all have. Okay, so I hope this episode was interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I'd like to hear what kind of experiences you've had with these tiny T traumas. And have you ever noticed how you might be displaying some of these tiny traumas toward another person? And now that you are aware of it, how does that make you feel? And of course, there's always the Uchi tribe that I would love for you to join. It's a free link in the show notes. And there we can dig into these topics deeper using the free Uchi app. And that's for up to 9 other listeners and myself. I will be included in this Uchi tribe, and we can really dig into this topic deeper, learn more, and grow. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Question It. Remember, growth happens outside your comfort zone, so keep experimenting with life and embracing change. If you enjoyed this episode, please connect with me in the show notes, leave a 5-star review on the platform of your choice, and please join this episode's Uchi tribe to dig into deeper conversation with me and fellow listeners. Until next time, peace, love, and connect.